classic blunder, just recorded this entire video and the mic wasn't plugged in, so I've been on a hiatus, so mistakes happen. But anyway, it was game, set and match Korda. He defeats Andy Murray in a roller coaster 3-set victory. There were lots of ups and lots of downs, but Korda did manage to find a way through. So let's break down the reasons which led Korda to the victory. My name's Henry Tui, welcome to Post-Match Breakdowns, and subscribe if you love tennis. I'm working really hard to keep producing the best tennis content I can, so subscribing would mean the world. But let's get into it and start off with the Dropshots and Netplay from Korda. Because in early portions of the match, he went to the drop shot extremely often and found so much success with it. Murray chased a lot of them down, as he always does, so they weren't free points, but he set up the point exceptionally well, and he covered the net for any passes or redrops that Murray attempted. By 3-1, Korda was up a break, and he was 6 of 8 at the net. He was approaching very, very tactically, and with great feel on his volleys, he was very, very effective in the forecourt. And it became clear that Korda was really trying to target Murray's legs, which became a factor later on in the match. Because from the word go, he was attempting to wear him down physically and give him the runaround with lots of drop shots and lobs and things like that. But it also allowed Korda, alternatively, to kind of conserve his energy himself by shortening the points at the net. But Korda wasn't just clinical in the forecourt. From the baseline, he completely outclassed Murray. His power and depth eternally kept Murray on the back foot, and Korda never gave Murray the chance to hit with anywhere near the precision he needed to, and that Korda was finding himself. Korda also returned exceptionally well and did secure a double break and a 5-2 lead in the first set. He had faced little adversity on his own serve, but he'd been very, very secure behind it. But Murray did seem to find a little bit of a second wind as Korda served, or attempted to serve it out, because Korda looked a bit flat for the first time in the match, and Murray capitalised and broke. So he got one of the breakbacks, and after saving 2 set points, consolidated it for 4-5. But the beauty of the double break is that Korda had a second chance to serve out the set, and it wasn't without worry, but he did manage to hold for 6-4 and the first set. It was high quality from both, but Murray just made himself work too hard. Being down a double break, he was always in a hole and always chasing the scoreboard, but towards the end of it, he did grow into the match as he broke back. And it was key for Murray to keep up the momentum he had been finding. That's exactly what he did. Because after an easy hold, he broke Korda after Korda was 40 love up. And finally, he was allowed to do dictating because he seemed to not get under the skin, but just plant the seed in Korda's head that Murray was going to give him a fight. And he consolidated the break and led 3-love. And really a key in this portion of the match was errors creeping into Korda's game. And it was Murray's turn to take the double break. Oh, sorry, my bad. Key errors were creeping into Korda's game, errors that weren't happening for large portions of the first set, and that was really down to Murray's scrambling, because Korda was having to work so much harder for each point than he had in the first set, and his errors were racking up because of it. Murray also got his eye in on the return, and it just seemed from the first ball of the rally, Korda was in an extremely difficult position. And it did seem way too much for Korda to handle, and he didn't respond quickly enough. Because it was Murray's turn to take the double break, and Korda served to stay in the set at 0-5. Murray was just on an absolute tear. It seemed that everything he hit turned to gold, really. And he was getting into the mind of Korda. He managed to shrink the court, really, with his amazing defence and make life so difficult for the American. But Korda was playing really, really well and did manage to avoid the bagel, but not the breadstick, because Murray took the hard-fought second set 6-1, and all the momentum seemed to be with Murray. And the question was, could Korda raise his level or not? And the answer was a resounding yes, because it was Korda who had a brilliant start to the third set and played much, much more steady tennis than Murray, because it was Andy's turn to leak errors, and he also missed some really key first serves and was broken to go down 0-2. And it just seemed that Korda was playing exactly how he did in the first set. His ground stroke speed once again really started to disturb Murray, and he was hitting through him, which he hadn't been able to do for the entirety of the second set. And I would really like to credit Korda's mental strength, because I didn't realise heading into this match how focused Korda was. I haven't seen much of his game actually, but it was like Andy was playing a completely different player compared to the second set. Korda completely brushed off all the cobwebs and frustration of the second set and was taking back control incredibly impressively. I do think partly a reason was because of Murray's fatigue, because Murray did look weary towards the end of the second set, and he lost some of the sharpness in his defense. And that sharpness was the key to force errors from Korda by always getting another ball back. So he started to really struggle in the rallies, and without his legs to start earning the points, it was really only downhill from there. And a really bad sign was that Murray even stopped bickering to himself, as he always does, because he just didn't have the energy anymore to do so. And Korda made a tear just as Murray did in the second set. It was really a mirror image, because Murray just avoided the bagel, but he couldn't escape the breadstick, as Korda took the third set and the match 6-1 and advances to the semi-finals. So overall, I was incredibly impressed, as I said, with how Korda managed his mental strength after losing the second set and that whole emotional letdown of such a one-sided second set. Actually, even though it was close, the scoreboard suggests it was much more dominant for Andy. But he was just a machine, really. He was so calm and composed, and he knew exactly what he needed to do and raise his level when he needed it most. Murray did give him one hell of a fight, and it was a great tense match even in the third set. But that wraps up my analysis. A lot of work goes into these videos, so subscribing would mean the world, especially as I've had to record this twice, so that would be great. But thanks for watching, guys, and have a great one.